Hey everybody, my name is Jacob, and this is Part-Time Film School. About a month or two ago, I got an email from Dehancer saying, hey, we like your channel, we thought you might want to check out our product. Well, I was familiar with Dehancer because I'd seen other YouTuber videos about it, and I thought it was pretty cool. So naturally, I was really excited to check it out. Up front, they're not paying me anything, they are giving me free access for the software, and there is a code available, a discount code, which I'll show later on in the video if you want to purchase it. Dehancer is film emulation software that is an embedded plugin into your editing software. I like to use DaVinci Resolve, so for my workflow, I can add it as a node in my software where I can emulate a certain film look. But there's a lot of different characteristics of film that I can try to emulate. I can try to emulate very specific film stocks from Kodak or Fuji or others that the Dehancer team has created their emulation for. I can emulate film grain, whether it's 35 mil, 16 mil, 8 millimeter. And so if I want to look of one of those different size film stocks, I can emulate that as well to get the right grain look for it. I can also emulate other characteristics of film like halation or bloom or whatever that may be. You know, the way the image kind of jumps around within the film camera. So I did my best. I installed the software, I put it into DaVinci Resolve, and I started to mess around with it. And I wanted to have a real world case. Right now, I'm starting post on a documentary I made about a muralist named Brant Woods. And just this week, I'm going to be filming the major interview for it. And hopefully sometime this year, 2024, I'll be able to start sharing the completed project, completed feature film. Anyway, I thought, okay, this is one I might want to try some film stock emulation, film grain, halation, bloom, and just get an idea for what that looks like on some footage I've already taken. So I thought the most accurate look to kind of duplicate is if I was shooting on a 35 millimeter camera. So I shot the doc on this camera, my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro, which has a Super 35 sensor. And I thought, okay, that's probably makes sense. It's going to have a familiar look if I try to duplicate a 35 millimeter film stock as opposed to something else, 16 or 8, something like that. And so that's what I did. I took it into the software. I did what I typically do for just a really simple grade. I use the ACES transform. I try to edit in an ACES color workflow. So I have an ACES transform in and out, simple primaries, adjust, so I can adjust, you know, just the basic levels for each shot. I adjust things like white balance. I take out a little bit of noise just to clean up the image a little bit before I go to the Dehancer node where I can start messing around with the film stock look. Because this is a documentary, I didn't want a really strong grade. One that seems to be really common for features right now is the Vision 3, I think it's called, film stock from Kodak. Movies like, I think The Last Jedi was shot on it, and others, it makes sense that that'd be shot digitally, but I read it somewhere. Anyway, so I tried that out. I tried the Gold 200, and one thing about film stocks is they have, as opposed to a digital camera where you're going to adjust kind of the sensitivity of the way the sensor picks up light through the ISO setting on the camera. That's something that a film camera does through its film stock. And so you kind of see that in the name. Plus you'll see how it's balanced for tungsten or it's balanced for daylight or something like that. So you see that reflected in the film stock's name. So if it has like a D or a T in the name or a number, that's representing what they might call the ASA, or the what we would call the ISO on a digital camera. Anyway, so I messed around with a couple different film stocks, and these are some of the images that I came up with. I messed around with some of the shots that might have a little bit of bokeh in the background to see how halation might show up. Halation is kind of how there's kind of like this red roll off and lights. That's prominent when you see a practical light in a shot. And then there's the bloom, kind of how light is rendered, just to kind of get that film look, in addition to the film grain and things like that. And so, like this is one of them. I'm sorry that the monitor's flickering a little bit, but this is one of those shots. I put it's a pretty strong grain when you look at it like this. It darkened the image a little bit. It kind of desaturated things a little bit, and I'm not sure that that's the look I want for the final film, because we're talking about murals. But this is a shot that was at night, so we've got, you know, the different bokeh from lights and the city lights in the background. So he's getting ready to paint a mural. You can see the grain pretty well on his face, and it kind of dances around a little bit like film grain should. You can control how strong you want the film grain to be, but I think this is a film where film grain is going to make sense to have it. They also have an iPad app. Maybe you can get it on the iPhone too, I think, where you can test it out. And it's really simple. You just import the video files on your device into it, and it's even simpler than using the desktop version. You don't have to worry about nodes or how you might drop it into Premiere or whatever your version is. It's pretty simple. You can mess around with a couple different looks, and I tested it out with some of the footage for the film as well. It's really an easy way to kind of preview a look. Like if you're a DP and you're trying to get the look of a film, the iPad app is probably a really good way to start. Take some sample footage and just swipe through and just try all the different looks, and it'd be a really easy way to test the software. Yeah, so that's kind of how it works and how I've tested it out in my workflow. Now, what do I think about it? Do I think it's worth the money? So there's different things you can get, and you know, obviously, whoops. If you go to Dehancer and you want to look at their Dehancer Pro plugin, you know, lifetime, nearly $500 right now. If you want a year of the software, $300, and the price goes down depending on how long you want it. They have the different versions. The light version, just the grain, the bloom, breath. This monitor, which just shows your false colors, that's a free plugin. I haven't tried that out. I check my my false color in my camera when I shoot it, but it's got different options for you. Do I think that the software is worth $449 for a lifetime license? Well, I would ask this question instead. I've been really impressed with the software. I think if you are at the point in your career that you think emulating a film look with all their different film stocks is going to be worth it for the projects that you're working on, I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's really great. I think that if you're just getting started out, you know, maybe you can use the film grain that's built into something like DaVinci Resolve. If you have access to the studio version, I think you might have to pay for the studio version to get their film grain emulations. Your NLE, nonlinear editor, may have some grain built into it. I like this better. I love the control settings. I love that I can adjust my film stocks. I was surprised at how much I really liked being able to change the film stock. more than anything else. And I think it's similar. This is probably blasphemy to say it. The way the Alexa 35 is trying to bake in certain film emulations, essentially, film looks into the image to kind of control the noise pattern. This kind of feels like that. Some people might look at it almost like it's a LUT. It's not acting the same way that a LUT would necessarily. But you can control color space and gamma and whatever. So like for me, for my workflow, since I work in ACES, I identified that I'm importing it in ACES so that I can work in that color space, and it adjusted and everything looked perfect and looked great, and I really liked that. And that's not difficult if you're using something like Resolve to do, but you also can just do Rec 709. That's what my final image is spitting it out in Rec 709. I think if you're starting to make feature films and you want that film look and you want to kind of soften the image from that digital sharpness, something like this is probably good. I added a film grain onto my first feature film and a couple different LUTs to kind of soften the image a little bit. We shot on I don't have the lens here right now, a Rokinon DS 35 mil cine lens that kind of had a softer image than a lot of photography lenses, which helped to soften up the digital image on the camera that we used. And I think it shows in the final product. And if that's something you're going for, I think some version of Dehancers is probably a good choice for you. But if you're not at the point to where you're ready to make a nearly $500 investment on the look that you're producing in a render, I don't think there's any rush on this. I don't think this is for everybody. I think I'm ready to use it on a lot of projects. I don't know that I would use it on a YouTube video, for example, but I would definitely use it for narrative film, my documentary film, because I'm trying to get a certain look for it. And going with the film look, I think gives it it kind of harkens back to old documentaries. And I think that vibe is going to work for this film. Anyway, I was really impressed. I thought it's a great product. I said there was a discount code. All right, so the code at checkout, if you want to get a discount on it, it's PTFS24 for Part-Time Film School 2024. If this is thing that and you can do a trial. You can test it out to see if that's something that you like before you purchase anything at all. So check it out, test out some footage. If you think it's worthwhile, you can use that code and it can help you out. I do get, I think, a commission on it. But no pressure. Do what's best for you. I hope that this was helpful for someone to just talk through real case scenarios. There's a lot of great videos that show some test footage. I'd encourage you to check those out as well. I just wanted to show you my workflow and how I tested it out, and that's it. All right, thanks. I'm Jacob. This is Part-Time Film School, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.